Guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole. Today's video is sewing my dream wardrobe, basically just sewing clothes I've always wanted to sew. And I'm gonna start with a little thrift haul because I went the other day, picked up just a few things. So first I got these slippers. I guess these are like getting ready bridal slippers because when I went they had a bunch of bridal stuff like wedding dresses, robes, accessories, all that kind of thing. But anyways, I liked these because I really like sandals and I had just saved these shoes on, I think it was Twitter. I was like, oh my god, these are literally perfect for this. All I have to do is just like add a ribbon rose and some more lace. I actually was like experimenting with making the little ribbon roses, so that's gonna be really cute. And then I found this polka dot top. It still has the like size tag on, so I wonder if it's new. You know, I love polka dots and also gray and the lace, so I'm gonna kind of chop it up a little bit. I want to make it into like a baby doll top, maybe sort of brandy kind of top. I found this tie, gray polka dot tie, and I always see like this image pop up on my like anywhere, like Pinterest, Twitter. Like, oh my god, that's so cute. Like I could just use this and tie it into a bow. Or I keep seeing people do like this or this with ties, which is also really cute. So I'm kind of debating on what to do. I might add a little bit of like embroidery or ribbon. They even had fabric at the thrift store. Actually, I always look because they have this bin and I've seen fabric in there before, but nothing I really wanted to buy. But I bought this. It was $1.50 because I've been wanting to make like a bolero and I want it to be pink. Definitely enough. I mean, it's a little bit thin, but I think for what I have in mind, it'll work. This is what I want. This video is going to be a little bit of a challenge because my printer doesn't work right now. So I'm just going to have to like freestyle everything. And I usually do because I can never find patterns exactly like what I have in my mind. This is the other fabric that I got at Mood Fabrics in New York. The other one was the pink leopard print or cheetah print one. I've wanted to make this dress for a really long time and it's just so cute. I love the fit. I love just everything about it. I haven't found like a pink polka dot pattern yet that I like. So I was thinking maybe I could use this fabric instead. I was also thinking bloomers would be really cute or a skirt. But then I kept thinking about that dress and I think it would look so cute with this fabric and like a pair of brown boots. I like see the vision. So now I have to see it to completion. Those are all the projects I have in my mind. Hopefully they all turn out.
Starting with the bolero, I wanted to make the vest part first and I liked the shape of this cardigan. So I used it as a template, cutting just a little bit bigger because the cardigan is stretchy. Once I cut one side, I folded it in half to make it even and then trimmed it up and then cut out the same piece for the front, then folded that piece in half and cut the rounded shape that I wanted for the front pieces. Pinned together at the shoulders and sides and tried it on. The armholes were too small, so I cut them bigger before I began sewing together at the top of the shoulders and both sides. And I did a straight stitch first and then went back over it again with a zigzag stitch to prevent the fabric from fraying. Next, I had to figure out how to make the puff sleeves. Like I said, I don't have a printer right now, so I can't print a pattern, but I found a really great tutorial on tumblr.com. So using that, I made my own pattern piece, and this is basically how it's gonna look. And then when I cut out the fabric, I wanted the sleeve to be a little bit longer than the pattern piece I had made, so I just cut out more fabric. There was a lot of trimming up and readjusting, and then I pinned it and tried it on to see how it would kind of look, and I liked it, so I ironed out the fabric because there was a lot of wrinkles and fold lines. I wanted to recreate the same sleeve and ruffle patterns as this one, so I started by hemming the bottom edge of the sleeve, cut out a piece of elastic where the sleeve was going to be tightest on my arm, marked the halfway point, and then pinned the elastic to the sleeve fabric an inch away from the hemline at both ends, and then matching up the halfway points of the elastic and the sleeve. And stretching out the elastic so it lays flat against the fabric, I sewed it in place with a zigzag stitch, of course, so the elastic keeps its stretch. I did a pretty big zigzag stitch, almost as wide as the elastic itself, and this was perfect. It made the exact ruffles and look that I wanted for the sleeve. Then I sewed the sleeve together. You can see that it actually looks like a sleeve now. When I was like trying to make the template and everything, I had a really hard time visualizing like how this pattern piece was going to turn into the sleeve, but I got it now. I understand. To attach the sleeves to the vest, I folded the vest over the sleeve so it was both right sides facing each other and matched up the seam of the sleeve to the side seam of the vest and the top of the sleeve to the shoulder seam of the vest. Then since the sleeve was a little bit bigger than the vest armhole, I did these little pleats at the top because I wanted to create that puff shape. So you can see I'm just making these really little pleats, and I did this only at the top until the rest of the sleeve fabric lined up with the vest, and then I sewed it all the way around. This is how it looked, and you can see the little pleats or the puff at the top of the sleeve. I wanted to recreate the ruffles that go all around the bolero, so I cut out these strips of fabric about 1.5 inches wide, and then I hemmed both sides of them, and I also attached them, so it was one really long strip of fabric. Then I took a piece of elastic and measured it out to go all the way around the bolero where I wanted to add the ribbon ruffle. I used peacock elastic and then cut off the lace part because I wanted a really thin strip of elastic. I marked the halfway point and then matched up the ends and the halfway point of the elastic and the strip of fabric and pulled the elastic from both ends so it lay flat against the fabric as I sewed it down. Of course, using a zigzag stitch that was a little bit smaller than the width of the elastic. I really like how it looked, and then I attached it to the bolero just using a straight stitch because I didn't need it to have any stretch.
I'm going to show you guys the finished bolero, but before that we need to have a moment for my hair. Look at how cute. I did 2 braids and then I like pulled them across the top of my head to make a headband, and then I added the little rose ribbon clips, and then to my nails I just put these on. These were gifted to me from Claude Shop on Instagram. I told them I wanted like a Gadu summer Hello Kitty, but like strictly Neapolitan colors. I wanted the hibiscus flower, so they did an amazing job. I love them so much. They're so me and they go perfectly with this outfit and everything. And then here we have the finished bolero. Yay! I debated adding ribbon here so I could tie it, but I liked how it looked without. I might add like a piece of elastic, something you can't really see to hold it together, but it stays like in place pretty well, so I don't feel like I have to add something. This is the back, how it looks all around. Yeah, the fabric is a little bit sheer, but I don't mind. I really like how the ruffles look. I think it's really cute. And then to go with this outfit, I have the thrifted shoes, and then I made more clips out of the ribbon roses, just like this. I considered gluing or sewing them on directly onto the shoe, but then I figured it would be better to have the clips instead in case I wanted to just have white slippers and they clip on just like that because this lace isn't sewn down. This is how I'm gonna wear the shoes with this outfit. Here are the sandals. I think they're really cute. They're actually a little bit big, but it's fine. I'm not really gonna wear these outside. Like I said, super proud of how this came out, and I have more confidence now in my ability to just be able to see something and then make it. Like, yes, I want that, now I can make it kind of thing. But now let's move on to the next project.
For the thrifted top, I wanted to change the shape, so I marked where I wanted to cut to create a separate bust piece, then removed more fabric from this piece to shorten it, and then I was kind of experimenting how I wanted to look. So the two pieces back together, and I was using a really small zigzag stitch so the fabric would keep its stretch. Added this lace from Daiso over the stitching on the front of the top, once again using a really small zigzag stitch. Hand sewed bows on both of the straps and on the middle of the top as well. I also added ribbon on each side of the top so I could tie it in the back and just give it a little bit more of a fitted shape, and also readjusted the straps and sewed them to make them shorter.
Here it is on, and I'm also gonna tie in the back. I probably could have sewn it better or sewn in the sides, but I figured this was the easiest way to make it fitted, and this is how the back looks. I think of course it's a lot more flattering now, and I'll actually wear it. Cute little bows here and the lace, and I paired it with this white lace skirt. I thought that was perfect. Gray socks and white leg warmers again. With the extra fabric that I cut off of the skirt, I made a headband, and this is like just the strip of fabric sewn into a circle, just like that. And I also made a bow to match with the same fabric, lace, and a little gray button, and it's a clip like this. Yay! I love when things are all matchy-matchy. Oh, the tie! This was a fun little project. I don't usually wear ties like this. I'm also gonna add some clips to the tie. For a bag, I'm pairing my piano bag that I have barely used since I made it. I used it once with like my piano themed outfit. I don't have a lot, if any, monochrome bags though, so it works perfectly with this outfit. And I have my silver, my melody. Here's the completed outfit. I feel like this is more reminiscent of my older style. My style has gotten a lot more girlier. Not that this isn't girly, but like I wear a lot more pink these days. So this is fun to do something a little bit more monochrome. I'll definitely wear this tank top a lot and more like casually, probably like with jeans or jean shorts. Thrift flips are always so fun. It's definitely a good way to start sewing because you have like the base structure of an outfit and then you can kind of modify it to you. That's what I used to do all the time. I would just do thrift flips, but now I'm branching out more. So with that being said, let's get into the dress.
I used this top as a template because I knew I was going to have to make a separate bust piece. I couldn't just have the fabric stretch over, and then I added pleats in the center, made sure that it sort of fit how I wanted it to. Cut out the same piece in this material for lining and then re-added the pleats and pinned both pieces together. I used this dress as a guideline for the stomach piece, but I did make it a little bit longer because I wanted the skirt to sit right below my hips. After I made sure everything was symmetrical, I cut out the back piece and also added the curve for the cutout shape. I pinned the pieces together and tried it on, but clearly the stomach piece was too long, so I marked with a pin where I wanted it to connect to the bust piece instead, and then that fit a lot better. Then with the pieces still pinned together, I cut out the cutout shape that I wanted for the back. It was a lot of readjusting, and then I realized I needed a different back piece, so I cut a new one that was more curved and sat lower on my back. I was satisfied with this fit, so to begin sewing, I detached the bust piece and sewed down the pleats with white thread and a straight stitch. I wanted lace going across the top and the cutout like the original, so I started with this peacoat elastic and I measured it out to be just a little bit shorter than the length across the top. And as I pinned the elastic in place, I was also hemming the top edge and pulling the elastic as I pinned, So once it was sewn on, there was stretch to the top. So it's sort of bunching like this, and then as I sew, I'm pulling the elastic flat against the fabric and using a really small zigzag stitch to sew it in place. Then sew the bust piece and stomach piece together with a straight stitch. And for the skirt, I used my beloved Gutter Girl Patterns ruffled mini skirt pattern because I did want a ruffled skirt. I think the original was pleated, but anyways, I cut out 2 pieces and then hemmed the bottom of both. Then to make the ruffles, I used the longest straight stitch my machine did, which was 5 millimeters, stopping before it got to the edge of the fabric and then pulling the thread so I had enough to adjust the skirt along. So the ruffles were pretty gathered, and then I ungathered them evenly to line up with the waistband piece, tied the threads on both sides, and then sewed both pieces to the dress piece. So I had a front and a back panel, and then I sewed those 2 pieces together. Added peacoat elastic all around the cutout, and I was doing the same method as the top edge of the dress, where I stretched out the elastic a little as I pinned it and then pulled it flat against the fabric as I sewed it down. Then I decided I needed a bigger lace, so I used this one that I got from Michael's, and I attached it the same way with a zigzag stitch, and it was just behind the peacoat elastic, so I had both. And I also used ribbon as the straps and sewed on these little white bows on each of the straps.
Here is the completed dress. It's not perfect, unfortunately. It kind of has some like bunching and creasing here that I don't really like. And the cutout is a little bit bigger than I originally intended it to be because I kept having to like readjust it, and then it kept getting bigger and bigger, you know, like the more I cut. So yeah, it's not perfect, but I have to give myself a little bit of grace because I didn't use a pattern or anything. Other than what I mentioned, I think it turned out really cute. Like the fabric makes up a lot of it because it's just such a cute fabric. I really like how the skirt turned out. And yeah, the back, I honestly think it's pretty cute. I'm like, I don't have a lot of places to wear this. A picnic I think would be really nice, but I feel like I say that with all my outfits. I'm like, this is perfect for a picnic. It looks like for this one they had string to tie in the back, but then I thought a piece of elastic would be a lot easier than like trying to tie something like this far up on your back. And I figured my hair would just cover the elastic anyways, so it didn't matter too much. Even though I'm not entirely satisfied with how this turned out, I'm really happy that I made it. Maybe I'll make it again, but better in the future. This is the last thing I have for this video.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give the video a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, happy, and healthy, and until next time, love you. Bye bye.